What up, queers? You gay fucks. Today, I have a cider, a gin and a G&T. I have a G&T. I know what I'm drinking. And we'll be talking about my experience with top surgery. Or lack thereof, I guess. So, I'm based in Wellington, New Zealand, if you don't know. And this has happened mostly over the course of COVID, so it's a pretty niche experience, but maybe it'll be helpful to somebody. My memory is pretty shoddy, and I get told a lot of different things from different people, and I don't super remember all of it. But I've looked over my journal, emails from doctors, Snapchat memories, so I'm hoping the time frame I have and the actual medical facts I've been given as accurate as possible. But please take my experience with a grain of salt. I don't know what I'm talking about. So if we look at the timeline, this kind of spans from April 2019 to June 2022. In April 2019, I met with my doctor to talk about both testosterone and top surgery. I just moved to Wellington and I was 18. I had to fill out a 13-page questionnaire, and basically it's about why I wanted to go on hormones, what surgeries I might want, how I felt about my body, what specifically I didn't like about it, why I didn't like it, when did I start feeling that way? All that fun, easy breezy stuff to talk about. Yeah, so I put that off for a while because damn is it an emotional roller coaster to write out why my body is a prison and why I want to change it. Just some cute, quirky things about me. So I sent it back to my GP about late April. Yeah, wrong. So I checked my emails and it turns out I didn't submit the form until August. I think it was about then that I was put on the waiting list for top surgery, but people were pretty vague about telling me when I was put on the list. Then I was put on the waiting list to talk to the clinical psychologist in the endocrine department at the hospital. I kind of dodged the meetings and phone calls for a while because I was second guessing myself and honestly just not in a great place mentally. Yeah, I guess when you're, well, at least for me, but there's quite a few times in my life where I've doubted whether I actually was trans, and it's not just internalized misogyny or just hating my body and trying to find a reason for it and that kind of thing, because you get a lot of people telling you that that might be the case and it really fucks with you. But I'm at a place in my life where I'm like, no, I'm sure this is what it is. I know who I am, and when I'm thinking about just myself and just for me and I'm not letting anyone get in my head about it, I know that I'm transgender. Yeah, anyway, at the time I was not in this place and I was really doubting myself. But eventually I actually called them back because I missed the original appointment, and I had the first meeting in person, and it was basically just like any other counseling. They inquire about your mental state, why you think you're trans, how it impacts you, and the psychologist was really lovely. Fuck, it was so draining. I think I cried in that first session. It's a lot to talk about that kind of stuff, especially with someone you have just met. Then I had my final 2 appointments in March 2022, and this was over Zoom because we were in lockdown because there was this funny little thing called a global pandemic. So I had those last 2 sessions, and I don't think I'll ever forget is that the last one she was like, so you are trans. I've looked from my perspective, from everything I've heard about you, from my knowledge as a clinical psychologist, you are trans. And that was just so incredibly validating. I think that's the first time anybody said that to me, because I'm quite lucky, or I guess everyone deserves to be validated in their gender and their experience. And I had a lot of people supporting me, and I had a lot of people who were willing to work on using my correct pronouns and addressing me in the way I felt comfortable, but it was also a lot of, are you sure? And I'm not saying that they're wrong to do this. I don't know if it is right or wrong, but it just made me doubt myself even more than I already did. So it was really validating for someone just to blanket say, you are trans and I believe you. So basically from that point where she determined that I was transgender, I was now eligible for T and top surgery, and I could start T whenever I wanted, but the wait for top surgery was long. And the list was it was a really complicated area because they didn't necessarily have a surgeon, and the list was kind of being cut off because they were only doing emergency surgeries during lockdown. But I was on the list. I got on the list. And at this point, I decided I'm going to wait for top surgery before I start T. That felt right for me. That's what I wanted to do. We move on to November 2020. I get told to expect a call any time of a Monday and Tuesday of a certain week. I think it started November, from a surgeon. I spent 2 days paranoid out of my goddamn mind that I'm going to miss this phone call because it's any time over 2 days in office hours, like in the period of office hours. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm gonna miss this fucking phone call. So I got my sound on, I'm checking it like every 10 seconds, and I go to the bathroom and I fucking miss it. Which was fucking devastating. There was no caller ID, no voicemail. I emailed the hospital saying I missed a phone call, here's my info, here's what it was supposed to be about. But they're like, unless you remember the surgeon's name, we cannot help you. I don't remember the surgeon's name. I emailed the psychologist from the endocrine department who I had the appointments with. No response. I don't know what happens now. I don't have anyone else to ask. I could talk to my doctor, but they're not sure. So I fucking have a few days of being really depressed, and then I have to move past it and just see what happens. About February 2021, I get a call saying I'm going to have a phone consultation. Again, which was a huge relief. Really came out of nowhere. Not long after that, it actually happens. I don't miss the phone call this time. I get a bunch of questions like cup size, whether I want a nipple graft or to fucking candle it, what do I know about the procedure, how do I feel about it, that kind of thing. And they schedule an in-person consultations for a few months from now. And then the day before that appointment, it's rescheduled to October. And then the day before that appointment, it's rescheduled to May 2022. And then despite my serious doubts, it actually happens. I had my in-person consultation in May this year, which, buckle up, I guess. I go to my in-person appointment. The surgeon's really nice. There's a nurse there to make sure I'm comfortable. He has to do an examination. I have to take off my shirt and my bra, and he, has to do an examination for, breast lumps, and then they have to take photos of it for reference if I am getting the surgery. And, I understand that it's necessary, but it's a real fucking mental hit. It made me feel so shit about myself. If I'm to be honest, I kind of survived by being pretty disconnected from my body, which is not something I was aware of until my friend pointed it out to me, which was super good. Thank you. So that's how I deal with it. That's how I avoid being crippled by gender dysphoria. I'm just pretty disconnected. I'm living my life. It's whatever. I just realized I'm to the fucking left, just off center the whole video. That's pretty cool. But yeah, that examination really brought me right back into my body, and it sucked. It really sucked. Oh, it was fucking terrible. And then after while I'm trying to emotionally deal with this roller coaster of dysphoria, which I was not prepared for, I have to fill out a form about why I need the surgery, how important it is, how much my condition affects me in daily life, which is really difficult to answer when it's from a point of gender dysphoria. Obviously binding physically impacts me, but other than that, it's all mental. So it's really questions about your physical state. So it was weird to answer, and I was also just not really in my head. And so then they count up your answers for a score. And before COVID, my score is valid. Yes, you're eligible for surgery, for funded surgery. Post COVID, no, it's not bad enough. In quotes, bad enough. And the surgeon's you've been waiting for 2 years, I'm gonna try to see if I override this. So he sends an email or something to his boss being I want to override this person's been waiting for 2 years already. And then I leave, and I have a really fucking shit couple of days. I get a letter in the mail, and it says, this was on the 10th of May. Dear Kiva, oh my god, that's me. We have received notification that you were recently assessed by one of our specialists, who has determined that you would benefit from surgical treatment. The Ministry of Health requires us to prioritize patients based on their level of need, to ensure that those who require urgent care are treated first. Fair. Unfortunately, with this considered, the Capital and Coast District Health Board is unable to waitlist you for surgical treatment. We realize this is not the outcome you were hoping for and apologize for any distress this causes. To ensure your condition is closely monitored, we have referred you back to your GP, who has also been forwarded a copy of this letter. If your condition changes in the future, please contact your GP in the first instance. So, I understand that this is probably a generic letter, but if your condition changes in the future, monitor my condition. What? Am I gonna get more trans? Am I gonna level up until the point where it's actually fucking important? I don't know. I get it, but it pissed me off a little bit. It's a system that's not really built for this specific surgery, for this need. Or at least that's how I feel. I don't know. I'm not a fucking expert. I'm just someone who's been tossed around a lot in this system, and it sucks, and it's a lot of trying to convince people that your needs are valid and that you like that you need help, and it's tough when you're coming from a place where it's already hard to ask, and then you get dismissed a fucking lot. So I'm doing my goddamn best, but it doesn't always work out. So yeah, no funded top surgery for me. I'm not eligible. It was super cool that I had to wait from April 2019 to May 2022 to find out that I'm not eligible. What a good fucking use of my time. So now I have to go private, basically, is my only option that I'm aware of. And I've heard that that's between 10 or 20 grand to go private, which is like, it's fine. It just sucks. Like, it's just limiting myself for a while, which is fine. Well, for a while. I don't know how long it's gonna take to save that much money. And I'm also just not very good at saving money, but I'm gonna do my fucking best. That's my experience with top surgery. Yay! Maybe if you're in a similar position to me, it'll go better for you. Maybe it'll work. This is what happened to me, and these are the steps I went through. I haven't chosen one yet, but I'm gonna end this video with like a trans foundation non-profit that you could donate to, because it's tough out here for a bit. And maybe if you have the financial means to do it, you could help somebody out. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay well. Be gay, do crime.